Welcome back. In this segment, I'm going to be having a conversation about the development, especially in the National Assembly, where you have a group of people coming together to form the Save Nigeria group. And they issued a statement that raised quite a number of issues, especially about the sustenance of democracy. To join me in that important conversation, I have an honorable member of the House of Reps, who is the representative from Delta State, Okpe Sapele Uwe Federal Constituency, Honorable Benedict Etane Bene. My brother, welcome to Inside Sources.
Thank you very much.
All right. Since it's your first time, I'm going to ask you that if you look at where Nigeria is today, what kind of future do you think is ahead of us?
Okay. Nigeria is moving, has potentials to becoming one of the best in the world. I believe personally that this country is blessed than any other country on earth.
Wow.
In its human capital, its resources, weather, the mentality of the people. It's one of the best. Just unfortunate that we have not been able to get good leaders in the mode of some other leaders we have in other countries, to really propel us.
And some that we've even had in the past, don't you think?
Yeah. If we had continued in the trajectory of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo in this Fourth Republic, if we had continued in that trajectory, I'm sure it would have been far more than where we are today.
Or even in the Second Republic, First Republic, where we had...
yes, Shehu Shagari and the rest. The features of democracy, what could make democracy really grow,
right?
Was visible. I was not threatened, as it is today. So if you remove that threat to democracy, which actually made all of us come together under Safe Democracy,
right,
group, if you remove that threat to democracy, the trajectory of Nigeria is bright and the future is good.
Okay, thank you so much for those opening comments. So in your statement, which you made sometimes last week on the 5th of August, you raised issues around disregard for the rule of law, a chronic budget under implementation, which you guys said that it is an impeachable breach. You also raised the issue about alleged misappropriation and off-budget spending. So there are two major things about financing. Two other issues you raised, insecurity, of course, and of course, you talked about the role of some of the religious leaders. I wanted to ask you, tell us, what is the composition of this Save Democracy group? Is it in the National Assembly or only in the House of Reps? What's the composition?
It's members of the House of Reps.
Okay.
But it's open to every Nigerian.
So it's not just opposition?
No, it's not opposition. They are members of the ruling party. Nigeria is bigger than any political party. It's bigger than any individual. It's a concern for all of us to make our country, better for all of us. We shouldn't get excited, with being members of a particular political party and begin to be parochial with our reasonings. I really believe, that when we come together as a group, irrespective of political party, tribe, religion, we could actually get Nigeria to the place. So, direct members, and it's open to Nigerians who are interested.
And so right now, your membership is drawn from not just the opposition parties.
No.
And do you have members of the House?
Yes.
As members of this group?
Yes.
Okay, and what is the target of this group? What do you guys want to achieve?
We want to draw awareness of government, to preserve the institutions of democracy.
That's the executive arm of government?
Yes.
And the awareness, or to pressure them, really?
Well, that's I don't want to use the word. Okay. Pressure looks like combative.
Okay. Because, they are not unaware, that's why I say.
Yes, they know exactly what... nobody who would have the opportunity to become a leader of a country or government, or maybe at a high level of executive, that does not know what it takes, to grow democracy. Yeah. So we all know, but sometimes we are carried away with our personal interest and that of cronies, and we deviate from doing what is right into doing what we think is right, but detrimental to the country.
Interesting. Yeah. So the among the 5 issues that you raised, you did ask that you want the National Assembly to reconvene. You know, why? Because right now you guys are on recess. Why is it urgent?
I think the matters...
What are the issues?
Yes, the matters of concern in Nigeria today, they are growing by the day. They are not abating. You know, they are growing. Why sometimes we take 1 step forward, we take 3, you know, backwards. If we take the case of our security situation, we are not getting better. You know, we are happy that recently we got some successes in Oyo. But there are other people still in captivity, and they are still picking people till today and tomorrow. You know, so we must address. We must not focus on politics. You know, where acts of governance is suffering. You know, so we need to come back and talk about this insecurity situation. And let me be very particular. It is related in a way to budget. Okay. Because recent time we have seen or heard that, no, they will not come to the public to say it, but the military, they are complaining of underfunding.
Even the military?
Yes. If you remember what one distinguished senator was talking about recently, he was saying that even the people from defense are complaining they've not got releases, you know, for 2024, 2025. A very small patry. So how do you really combat insecurity, these bandits with sophisticated weapons, with bare hands, you know, of small munitions? So it will work. So we need to focus on the budget. Time is going. Don't forget that the life of the budget, you know, will cease to exist by September 30th, where we extended it to. That is 2024, 2025. We are almost coming to the end of 2026 now. You know, so what are we going to be talking about after September? Maybe extend it again, you know, to December. So we need to come back, discuss this issue.
2 of your issues has to do with budget. What kind of action are you guys proposing ought to be taken?
Budget implementation in Nigeria today is so opaque, you know, that we really don't know what is going on. In one breath, you hear the government says that they have exceeded all their revenue generation from agencies that are responsible for that.
But they're meeting their targets.
Yeah, they have even exceeded, you know. In another breath, you see Mr. President are giving kudos, you know. The allocations to local governments and to states, you know, has increased tremendously, you know, more than 5 times, according to him, you know. Yet, we are unable to fund capital components in our budget since 2024. And there must be a missing link somewhere. You know, we've borrowed so much money. The National Assembly has been very kind, you know, to allow some of those borrowings. And we seem not to know exactly where we are putting, you know, those money. It is very important that we should sit, come and look at the budget, get Mr. President, or, you know, there was a time that I asked that Mr. President should appear, and I took a motion on that on the floor of the House. You know, should appear. It didn't get through. But
your colleagues,
yes, my mind. No, they liked it. They liked it. But somehow, those in authority, they bubbled it. You know, with one motion they brought. You know, and the motion, the prayers were different from what the gentleman, you know, was going to say. You know, after I moved mine.
You're talking about the leadership of the House.
Yes, okay. Yes. Look, they know what is good. But what I think in Nigeria today is we are desperate to impress our leaders. We want to be put in the book of being loyal. It does not matter how we achieve it. You know, being loyal, even if you have to do what is wrong.
To show your
loyalty, you seem to be applauded. Look, there's okay, sorry. So we are ranking loyalty above patriotism. Completely. That's exactly what you find in Nigeria today, and it's so strange. It's so strange. You don't find that in many other countries. It's only in Nigeria. You know, because the world leaders are even patronizing those who are showing loyalty to them, not to the country. It's a pathetic situation. Very, very,
very, very sad. But how do you respond, Honorable, to the view in some sessions that this National Assembly, you know, although it's more about the leadership, but since you're a member of the National Assembly, I think I should ask you that this National Assembly is the worst since 1999 in terms of rubber stamping what the executive wants. How do you respond to that?
No, I will not say it's the worst. You know, this is my first time, and and will be my only time. I was not in the other back. No, I don't have any business. I could do better in other areas. Wow. Growing democracy. It didn't meet my expectation. You know, but I'm not going to conclude, you know, that it was the worst. I don't know what happened in some other, houses. But if Nigerians say that, I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue against Nigerians. You know, that they are not correct. You know, we seem not to have really our outcome seem not to have, you know, pleased Nigerians, because sometimes we don't really show how we arrived in those outcomes. Let me give you an example. You saw how we passed the Electoral Act. You know, there was no robust consensus. There was no discussion to that effect. You know, and it just went like that. Why will Nigerians not say that this is the worst? You see how the police bill, you know, is progressive. We got to the floor and we were supposed to do clause by clause. It didn't go like that. So when Nigerians are getting that, you know, outcome, you know, like that, they will certainly say that this is about not a good assembly. But those of us inside, we know the battle we take. You know, of course, it is. Tell us about that battle. No, we do a lot of battles. Even in the loans, these loans, this area where I just stamping. It's not like that. You know, it's debated. You know, it's argued. We ask for clarity, information. Sometimes we call the ministers in charge. They may not provide adequate, you know, satisfactory explanations for those things. But at the end of the day, majority, they say, have their way, while minority have their say. So it is the outcome that people see to think everybody is in agreement, you know, with that kind of decision. It's not like that, you know. We may not be too vocal about it, you know, in the past. But, you know, we have a new minority caucus, you know, that is actually showing a new direction, you know, to opposition politics in the National Assembly. We're not fighting anybody. We're just doing the role of opposition. And democracy, you know, actually agrees that we should do, you know, that, and it's permissible under a democratic system. Well, as a matter of fact, you know, if we look at your own precedent, and quite interesting that you said you are not coming back. You came in through the Labour Party. In 2023, the Labour Party excited Nigerians. As a matter of fact, you know, as you will recall, it was stunning, you know, the performance of Labour Party winning Lagos State presidential, and I think, you know, the party at the presidential post amassed like you know, a little less than 6 million votes, and then brought people such as yourself for the first time into the National Assembly. So I'd like to ask you, you know, and then we will conclude on this. So what happened to the Labour Party that had so much excitement? Don't you feel sad, for instance, that you had to leave the party, you know, that brought you in? You know, what was your take? You know, tell us that story. I'm really pained, you know, by the developments in the Labour Party. Really pained. My expectations were not as it is now. Personally, I fought hard to keep it together, because my belief is that we're just starting a new phase in Nigeria. Give the Labour Party a few years after we came in 2023. Yeah. By today, we should have been the major, you know, dominant party. But somehow, the build-up to the next election starts immediately after the last, you know, one. True. So immediately we ended the 2023 election. There were some persons who advised our boss, you know, and principal. Even if I'm not in the same party, I still refer him to as my boss today, Mr. Peter Obi, very wonderful and competent person, you know, to become president in Nigeria. So they advised him, you know, that, see, you have the chairman of the party, Mr. Julius Aburi, from the south, you are from the south. Perhaps that was why we didn't get much vote from the north. So this time around, let us have a northern chairman, you know, so that we'll be able to balance everything. That matter was going nocturnally. You know, many of us got to know about it. And when we appeared in the meeting with Mr. Peter Obi, I did advise that, look, this thing is going to cause problem. Because this is a party that a gentleman opened his doors and windows for all of us. In fact, sometimes I don't want to be too emotional about it. What happened to Julius Aburi? I don't pray it to happen to another, you know, person.
Wow.
I don't mind all the stories people are talking about. None of them can be substantiated. I'm not saying he's a saint, but the narrative about Julius Aburi was to steer us away, you know, from, you know, the reality. Now, that idea is not a bad idea to my mind. But for me, I suggested that can we call Julius Aburi so that we can discuss this matter, you know, for him to buy in, you know, to it, instead of nocturnally trying to remove the share, you know, from him. Because the gentleman actually gave us the platform. In many instances, monies were not collected, you know, for forms, nomination forms.
Wow. For
many of us. Me, I'm an example. I never used my 2 eyes to see Julius Aburi until about when we were going to be sworn in, you know, at any time. Tony Izagu was the chairman in Delta. There was no time Izagu demanded 1 kobo, you know, from me.
Wow.
You know. So many of us came in like that.
Which is unusual.
Which is unusual. That's why I said
there was so much promise about him.
We shouldn't have paid him back, you know, like that. Look, from the day we were sworn in, there is no member, including myself, that can boast that they contributed 1 naira to the coffers of the Labour Party. And because no sooner this crisis came, it became a diversion. And of course, you know, our principal, you know, we all are very loyal, you know, to him, you know, and I'm loyal to date, but I disagree on this issue, you know, and I said we could have managed it better.
In a different way.
Abure moved ahead, you know, and quickly did his convention in Inewi.
Before they could...
Yes, he moved ahead. And
because he wasn't consulted, like you said.
Yes, he wasn't consulted on this matter. He knew from feelers he was getting from communities, yes. So he went ahead. And that convention...
So he preempted them.
Good, so to say. You know, the average Nigerian chairman of all these small parties, I don't want to be there. Don't just joke. Don't just come and think you want to leave. No one. They are not going to the level where in Nigeria you see a political party chairman willingly wanting to say, in the best interest of the party, we should do this. So he's a human being like any of us.
True.
You know, people today that are elected into office, there are many that are going to die to remain in that office, as if the office, you know, was signed off to them and their children, you know, and their parents. No, politics is not like that. It's like a football match. Nobody dies in it. So take that mentality when you are dealing with some of these persons, you know. So Abure went ahead, got elected. But like you know, the same people, in order to preempt it, they went to INEC to tell INEC that they should not recognize Abure. That was where the problem started. He gave rise to the Ketika Committee. I advise. There was nowhere in the Ketika Committee, in the constitution of the Labour Party, that we shouldn't do that. It will destroy the party. Before we knew it, government entered into Labour Party. And today, you can see that Labour Party ceased to exist in 35 states of the 36. So now working with Mr. President.
So, in your own view, the problem and the crisis in Labour Party was not initiated by the presidency?
Or no, it was not. Certainly not.
They only took advantage of it.
They took advantage of it.
Because some of the things that Peter Obi's people, especially the obedience crowd, especially on social media, what they say is that, you know, it's the presidency, APC that came. So you are saying that this was the original problem.
I bet anything I have, including my life. See, if all Nigerians are standing on one side on this matter, me, I will stand on this one. This is the truth as I know it. I wasn't an outsider. I was inside. The issue came about where the chairman should come from of the party. I can tell you that.
Interesting.
Yes, that is the issue. You know, but later, like I said, it was the government entered. They had willing persons who are ready to work. So the outcome now can even tell you what it is. What is Labour Party today? You are the presidential candidate of Labour Party.
So sad.
At the time, Mr. Peter Obi left ADC to looking for another party.
Yeah.
There was still opening in the Labour Party.
Yeah, actually.
But he was not given the room to come in. The door was shut.
Wow. As a matter of fact, I remember that Dr. Datia Baba Ahmed actually said that he was hoping that he would come back.
I was hoping, so I was the only legislator that was still remaining. Me and one or two.
I want to leave because
I didn't leave the Labour Party left me. I was in the last convention in Umahia, April. That is few weeks to the extinction or the deadline for submission of register according to INEC.
Right.
And they took a motion to dissolve all the ESCOs in 35 states of the federation. So when it was getting to 3, 4, 5 days, like now, there's no person that is chairman in my ward.
Wow.
There's nobody that is chairman in my local government. I can't. Until recently, I hear that one of my younger sisters is the chairman or interim sole administrator of the party.
State.
There was none. So, and I needed to move forward.
Yeah.
So what do I do? You know, that was why. And I'm saying this for the first time. If not, I wasn't really interested. It's so painful.
And now you are in the PDP.
I have a Labour background, so
yeah. You know, I mean, because hearing your story that you came in with the Labour Party way, that shows clearly that you are at least you are a politician of a different pedigree, and it's so sad that Labour Party went the way it did. But what are you going to be doing now that since you said you're not coming back?
I looked at all the political parties. And sorry to say that they have not managed their affairs very well. From the ADC to even the NDC to the SDP, to all of them, they've not managed themselves very well. So even the PDP, have not managed them. I've been in PDP before. I left. So when I thought about, as a politician, you must have a base.
You have a platform.
A platform. And I felt that PDP still remains the next to APC, in terms of
so which of the leaders?
I looked at the one that I think, by the concern of the party, and the events that has taken place in the recent time, that the one that has Alhaji Tanimu Turaki, I'm convinced, as a lawyer, based on the judgments of the Appeal Court and the Supreme Court, that is the authentic party. We may have issues today, but tomorrow I know we'll come back to reality. What is keeping the party into two? It's a very small matter. If not, reconciling these two factions is less than 5 minutes. One says, we don't want to feed a candidate against Mr. President. How good that is for democracy is left for us to judge. While the other says, no, as a opposition party, we must feed a candidate.
Very interesting. It's been quite a very interesting conversation, and hopefully, we'll bring you back to talk about more of the issues. And I hope that you don't, having said some of those great things about Nigeria's future, that you don't give up.
No, I don't.
Because we don't have any other country.
No, yes.
Thank you so much, Representative Benedict Etame Bennett. Thank you for coming to Inside Sources, and thank you for sharing your insight.
It's my pleasure, sir.
All right.